Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna edit it. We're gonna have to edit the shit out of this. There's no doubt about that.
Swallow your tears and allay your fears with the questions that he's asking. Who looks good and means cause he's all ears. It's Sebasstian. Welcome to All Ears with Sebasstian.
Hello there. Welcome. I'm Sebasstian, host of All Ears. Thank you so much for coming. This is a new show for us. We're going to be doing it on a, who knows, weekly, monthly basis. On All Ears, we're going to be talking to local newsmakers, electeds, newsmakers, activists, any other important people making news here in Multnomah County. And of course, this is brought to you all by the great people at the Multnomah Democrats. I want to introduce our first guest. Our first guest is Kaia Sand. She is the executive director of Street Roots since 2017, I believe. She is a poet and an artist. She's a former university professor. In 2019, she was given the Spirit of Portland Award by then Commissioner Joanne Hardesty. Kaia Sand, thank you so much for being the inaugural guest on All Ears.
Thank you, Sebasstian. I have never been interviewed by a donkey, so.
Yeah, well, there's a first time for everything, so congratulations. You can tell all of your friends. I want to start by talking about Kaia the artist. I've discovered that you wrote and produced a magic show to explain the 2008 financial crisis to kids both young and old. It is called A Tale of Magicians That Puffed Up Money Until It Lost Its Puff.
Yeah, well, I actually was sitting with a friend of mine who is a magician, and we were talking about the challenges of talking about finance and the kinds of obfuscations, the kinds of ways in which, by making things really complicated and abstract, finance can achieve a level of power. And how do we break that down? And we realized that some of the techniques of magic shows would be a way that we could, in a way, make it concrete for people.
It seemed the play actually seems to have gotten some great reviews. I did do some more internet sleuthing, and I found one review that I don't know if you've heard it yet, and I just wanted to it's an audio review.
Oh.
Hey there, Kaia. It's President Joe Biden. I tell you that I really enjoyed your magic show that explained the 2008 financial crash to children both young and old. I think it's called The Tale of Magicians That Puffed Up Money Until It Lost Its Puff. It was awesome. Thank you so much for being a great American.
Wow, that is incredible. All right, Kaia, it's time to play the lightning round, which we're calling PDX Faves, in which you tell me your favorite things in the Portland area. Are you ready to play this exciting game? Favorite Portland park? What you got?
Oh, gosh. I would have to say the park blocks.
Great answer. Correct. Next question. Favorite Portland neighborhood?
Well, I love all Portland neighborhoods. Favorite neighborhood is Old Town.
Great answer. Correct. Favorite Portland sports team?
My favorite sports team that I will get seasons tickets to is when we get an WNBA team.
Great answer. Correct. And I love that your favorite team is a future team that does not exist yet. Incredible. All right, Kaia, you've passed successfully the lightning round. We're moving into our final section of All Ears called The Important Stuff. First question. Most of us, of course, are familiar with Street Roots from seeing community members selling newspapers. You've been with the organization for, about 6 years, but I think Street Roots is almost 25 years old. I'm curious to know a little bit more about the mission of Street Roots for those who might not be aware, and also how this great organization has evolved over the years.
So since the beginning, we've been a newspaper. We've had Street Roots vendors, that's people experiencing homelessness and poverty who sell the paper to earn income. We've been involved in advocacy, and really since the early years, well, actually since the beginning, it was just in the newspaper itself. We produced the Rose City Resource, which is a compendium of services for people experiencing homelessness and poverty. We, now work with more than 200 street roots vendors in a week. We used to work with a handful in the very beginning. So those things have all changed. So we have a number of educational programs that are also connected to income. We're always fighting to get people paid. One of them is an ambassador program where our vendors do surveys to impact policy. We have a program where vendors learn media skills. And actually right now, because we're renovating a building to move into, it's all designed along Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the basement of the building on 3rd and Burnside, showers and laundry, foundational needs, earning income, our newsroom, and then up to the roof of the building that will be a classroom. We're creating a kind of school.
You just wrote an opinion piece about Portland street response. You mentioned that Commissioner Renee Gonzalez announced a hiring freeze in February. You talked about the fact that Fire Chief Sarah Boone recently directed PSR workers to accompany city sweeps. I'm just curious if you could talk about your point of view on the state of Portland street response, how important you think it is, and ultimately what you think it's going to take for this program to be successful.
So Portland Street Response began because our street roots vendors were asking for some kind of option for people when there's a crisis that's a non-criminal matter. How is it that someone else besides the police comes out to it? Someone who's not going to do a warrant check, someone who doesn't have a badge, that really provokes trauma, and someone who doesn't have a gun,
Right.
Because we know that again and again, including in our city, that situations escalate. In the long run, in my imagination, what we're actually trying to create is a bureau, right? Like we're creating something. There's the police bureau, there's fire bureau, there's the street response bureau. But I say all that because I think right now, some of our city leaders are just using it a little bit like a political tool and trying to make it do things that's not even set up to do it. Once you start connecting it to sweeps, which is the latest order, then the folks on the street start to lose trust in these responders, right? Commissioner Gonzalez, there's been a hiring freeze. They don't have medics on every shift, which just to explain why that's so important. One of the 3 goals of Portland Street Response is to reduce the number of 911 visits, to do wound care in the streets, because it is so often when people are in crisis that there's a physical component. Additionally, people should be able to have the supplies. The responders need supplies to give out. And that, again, that budget has been pulled back. So I'm very concerned right now that the program is being starved out so that it'll look less effective too. And it's being asked to do things that it's not even set up to do.
Shifting gears, there's been a lot of local news recently about stores and businesses closing in Portland. REI is the latest example. They announced they're closing in 2024. Of course, many people are blaming the situation on crime and break-ins and the houseless community. Maybe some of those things are a part of the equation, but I'm curious to hear your overall point of view on this.
I think fear sells. I think fear sells news, and I think fear sells policy. And I'm not saying that all these things aren't concerns, and there are a lot of layers, particularly around our social safety net, housing, addiction services. We don't have enough services for people who are struggling with substance use disorders. So all of that, right, is true and really important. What I want to do is keep facing the problems that we have, walking right into them as we do at Street Roots every day, and imagining the future that we want to build.
That's great. I'd love to finish with some positive news. Tell me one thing that you feel like is really a sign of progress when it comes to tackling some of these tough issues.
Yeah, I mean, every day I'll just tell you what gets me excited and encouraged is working with people experiencing homelessness who get out of homelessness. And, I just today, just this week, I was talking to a woman I hadn't seen for a while. She's in a wheelchair. She used to live on the streets where she had her wheelchair tied to other wheelchairs because she got swept so often that she just had to transport her tent and her tarps every day wherever she went. That's the state of fear that people have to live in. She just got housing 3 blocks away. And then she said to me, I thought I was just going to get a room, but I opened it up and I have a little kitchen. It's thrilling. I have countless stories like that.
Kaia, you've told us a lot of great things about Street Roots. What would you say to people who want to get more involved?
First of all, buy a paper from your vendor. And if your vendor is open, get to know them. I think that is the primary way of getting involved in Street Roots, because I think of us as being legion, right? That we're all over the city, and each relationship is another part of Street Roots. In terms of volunteering or in terms of donating, that all happens at our website, streetroots.org. We are renovating a building on 3rd and Burnside. It's a really big project that's going to expand what we can offer to include things like showers and laundry. And so that's streetroots.org/hope. And we also don't mind if you want to just stop by in person, have a cup of coffee, chat with us. We're on 2nd and Davis, and we really love our community. We love talking to you all.
Kaia Sand, thank you so much for coming on All Ears and being a part of our show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Nailed it.
Who looks good and means cause he's all in ears. It's Sebasstian. Welcome to All Ears.